Weed the garden, cut the grass, paint the window, fix the glass, trim the shrubbery, grind the axe. But take it easy, dear. Relax.
The primary goal, at least as society saw it, was for women to be proper housewives and mothers. The idea was that your major goal when you graduated from high school, or even if you went to college, was to land a good husband.
It was expected that they would marry someone in their senior year and raise a family, and at least their husband would be educated.
The whole image of the mother with her little house in the suburbs, and there she'd be doing her housework, pushing her vacuum cleaner, beautifully coiffed, beautifully made up, in a lovely dress. A woman was not going to be on the front lines of what was happening.
The civil rights movement peaked in the 1960s, where white people fought alongside African Americans to end discrimination and achieve social equality. Women in particular started to participate by volunteering at organizations such as the SNCC and CORE, but never managed to assume leadership roles.
When the civil rights movement began to happen, I became very involved with CORE in the Deep South, working on voter registration. But the one thing that we began to discover was a distinct feeling that even within the civil rights movement, here we were fighting for the freedom of a very, very oppressed group of people, that women were to play a lesser role.
As second-wave feminism became more prevalent with an internal network of small consciousness-raising groups, women discovered that their personal difficulties were widespread.
And as we began to move into the work world, the injustices and the inequities were so glaring.
In Louisiana, the district attorney said to me that you're going to have to work twice as hard and be twice as good as any man to get to the same place that a man would.
That's when women began to take a stand, and as they would take a stand against an employer or a company, they realized there were all their friends that were doing the same thing. So it was very, very much a cooperative thing.
With a growing emphasis on female pride, women banded together to overcome the enduring legacy of a male-dominated society.
We lived in a culture where people really respected each other and wanted to work together because we knew we had power as a group.
As women began breaking free from their traditional housewife roles, a shift in the cultural attitudes became apparent. The establishment of laws and organizations such as NOW gave women more economic, civil, and educational independence.
It was more about finding non-competitive ways to team up and develop a kind of creativity that became better than the individual people.
It is huge what happened to men's and women's lives in the wake of feminism.
Young women have been raised with totally wide open expectations of what they can be and what they can do. It never even occurs to them that there was an earlier period in which women were considered inferior.
As the feminist movement progressed, we wanted our daughters to succeed, and we wanted to be able to tell them they can do anything they want to do.
Today's young women are really approaching the ideal of what they were fighting for.
I think that it's really great that girls are believing that they can do more and are in fact doing more.
Today's society is fostering motivated, highly competitive young women. The great success of the feminist movement surpassed the dream that was fought for in the 60s and has established a new one for the women of this generation. It's a dream that is beginning to break down the gender hierarchy that has continuously plagued America. But for many young women, this dream has been disguised as a standard for which they must give up everything in order to attain.
I think there's always a kind of two steps up, one step back quality to change.
We've been in such a male-dominated society that there's just been this push for girls to succeed and succeed. And so although guys have dominated here, you know, girls have been pushed to succeed, and it's finally getting, you could say, a little out of control.
Girls are feeling a kind of paralyzing sense of perfectionism, a kind of crippling perfectionism, trying to reach all these goals all the time.
You gotta be the best, you gotta be perfect and participate in community service, and you gotta be like in the leadership committee and on honor council.
Girls didn't replace the old expectations with new expectations. They just layered them on top of each other.
So they're expected to get good grades and be in a million extracurricular activities and take all these hard level classes and do all their homework and have time to go out on the weekends and be beautiful and be skinny and hang out with guys and whatever it may be, and that's just not possible.
Although great strides have been made with the feminist movement, young women of this generation are turning into each other's biggest competitors. The cooperation and compassion that was largely apparent in the 60s has been compromised, and women are beginning to forget the premise of this great change.
I certainly wouldn't go back. I don't think I would say, oh, what we need to do is, relieve poor little girls of the pressure that's on their shoulders. I mean, that's not the answer.
Every movement and change comes with a price. Can today's world provide great feminine success without emotionally hurting and overworking young women?